Hello, my dear friends. Mike Shreeve here, founder and head troublemaker of the No Pants Project. You are listening to episode 54, where we're going to be talking about why clients actually like hiring new freelancers. So for those of you who are sort of stuck in the moment where you are just getting started and you're nervous about whether or not, who's going to hire me? What can I possibly bring to the table? This episode's for you. But it's also for those of you who maybe have a little bit more confidence and you're thinking, yeah, I'm probably going to get some clients, but you are accidentally, I don't think this is done on purpose, but you're accidentally focusing on what end up being procrastination tasks. I don't think people are doing it to procrastinate, but let me give you an example. So a procrastination task is spending more time than is necessary to figure out an offer or to figure out who you're going to pitch or to figure out or to develop or build up your skill set. Okay. So basically, when you're early on in your career path as a freelancer, anything you're doing that isn't going direct to a client and getting the tangible hands-on, let's actually figure out what these people are going to buy, anything that you do other than that is speculation. It's guessing. It's mental gymnastics just for the sake of essentially avoiding what is impending, which is the potential to be rejected. Because that, I think, is ultimately what people are most afraid of, is that they might talk to someone and someone will say, wow, you're new and how dare you, and you're not professional and you don't deserve to whatever. Or, the other side is this fear of failure that you might actually land the client and then not deliver this great result. So what I want to do in this podcast episode is actually show you that there are groups of clients, and to be frank, most clients have a preference for you over the alternative, okay? We'll talk about what the alternative is. So there are essentially 4 different reasons why a client wants to hire a newer freelancer. The first is what are known as diva freelancers. Now, what is a diva freelancer? That's somebody who has a lot of experience, celebrity client lists, and charges insane fees. But to back all that up, what makes them a diva is that they have a bad, arrogant attitude about all of those things. Now, technically, I have 10 years of experience. I have a celebrity list of clientele, and I also charge a lot of money. Minimum fees, $8,000 a month. Average is about 12.5. You have to hire me for a year, and et cetera. So in my freelancing business, what I try very hard to do as a freelancer is not be a diva, not let that turn into an arrogant misuse of what I have, what are assets that I've built up over a decade. The problem is there's a lot of people who don't try to avoid that. As a matter of fact, they embrace that arrogant attitude. You may have seen it online in social media. Copywriters who are direct response, sort of Gary Halbert descendants, tend to really tend to lean into the online persona of all clients are horrible. I'm God's gift to clients. They'll publicly shame potential clients or clients who went south, or there's an arrogance, a public arrogance to the way that they treat people, to the way that they talk about themselves. They're constantly bashing other freelancers in terms of saying everybody's doing it wrong, et cetera, et cetera. And it's not just copywriters, but for those of you who are in the world of copywriting, I think you probably have seen a couple of social media posts just recently, and I don't mean recently at the time of this recording, I mean just within the past week of whenever you're reading this recording. If you're friends with any of these people on Facebook, you know exactly what I'm talking about, the behavior that I'm talking about. But the same is true for designers and tech people. I mean, the other day I was watching a YouTube video of this guy who charges like $150,000 for a logo. And I thought, cool, I want to learn from somebody who's able to charge that much money. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, and this person was clearly paid to be a public speaker and was giving a speech and was talking about how they charge $150,000 for their logo. And the whole time, the whole entire speech that this person was giving was simply berating and belittling the clients that this person serves. That is a diva freelancer. And there are a lot of those types of people out in the world of freelancing and service providing. It's, on the one hand, I understand it. So I've been a freelancer for 10 years. I get how working with clients, if you aren't careful, if you've had to spend a lot of time doing bottom of the barrel clients, you can develop a cynicism and an arrogance and, this sort of thing. You survive for 10 years and yeah, I'm awesome and everybody sucks and I walk on water. But I want you, listening to the sound of my voice right now, to put yourself in the shoes of the client. Let's practice some empathy here for a second. Ask yourself honestly, would you pay $150,000 if you knew that the person you were paying $150,000 to was going to go on YouTube and try to make a viral video of how stupid you were? And how you didn't know logo design, and how this person only made a logo despite you, and that you were a hurdle and an obstacle and you were in the way. One of two things is happening. Either this person is lying in their speech and they're just being dramatic to get clicks, or two, they were a giant pain in the backside as a team member. Okay? I think a lot of the people who posture online are just lying, right? Like talking about how awesome they are. But I do think a lot of them also are giant pains in the butt. Some of the clients that I've had who are celebrity level clients, and when I say celebrity, I don't mean necessarily Hollywood celebrity, but in their niche, they're big names, well known, well respected. And because I've been on their teams, I've been able to see some of these freelancers come into those teams. And it is a nightmare. It's a nightmare. When a diva freelancer enters a team, it can kill the entire momentum, the mood, and etc. And the freelancers who approach clients with a sense of modesty, not necessarily humility. Like you don't need to go with your tail between the legs and, yes, sir, I'll be a good freelancer for you, sir. And, you don't have to be like that. But you also don't need to be walking around with your chest all up and puffing and trying to posture and doing this ridiculousness and then commenting publicly about how your client is the worst. A lot of clients have hired these kinds of freelancers before, and they've paid insane amounts of money. $50,000 plus a percentage of the back end for like a simple funnel. And they've been burned. Because in their mind, they're paying for the best, and oftentimes these guys farm their work out. They don't even do the work themselves anymore. So they farm it out without the client knowing. The client's thinking that they've paid the best that there is to pay. And then they get this attitude from this person who doesn't want to be on their team. And in their mind, they're like, I'll pay this big money and you can be a permanent part of our team and we'll look at it as an investment for a long-term relationship and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And 9 times out of 10, the relationship dies. David Garfinkel, who is one of my coaches, one of the greatest copywriters ever, and then also one of the greatest copywriting coaches ever, one of the nicest, most humble people I've ever met. It's why Agora, who's one of the biggest, like if you work for Agora, you're like a legitimate copywriter. That's why Agora keeps hiring him, keeps asking him to come back, keeps asking him to teach their copywriters. David Klein, another absolute powerhouse in the world of paid ads and growth. I mean, he's helped to grow companies to multi-millions of dollars. One of the softest, sweetest, best human beings I've ever met in my entire life. Both of these guys should be walking around like a peacock, slamming everybody, saying everybody sucks and they're the only ones who are great. But they don't. Because they know, they get it. They know that clients don't like working with divas. Because clients are human beings, they're not machines. And so they look for people who have good human characteristics, respect, timeliness, just hello, like common courtesy type stuff. Right? That's what I mean by hello, like saying hello and saying, how was your day? Just like really simple stuff like that. And you as a newer freelancer, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, you have fewer reasons not to be that way. If you don't have a celebrity list of clients, no client that you're about to work with is going to say, who have you worked for? And you say, well, I've worked for so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. And then that client's like, ooh, that's really cool. You must be really awesome. No one's stroking your ego that way, right? Like there's no temptation for you to become an arrogant person. And so you have an advantage. Now you may say, well, that's kind of silly. It doesn't feel like an advantage. But that's probably because you aren't a client. This is why I wish everyone who starts a freelancing business could go hire for themselves to see what it feels like to give someone a bunch of money, a lot of money, and then be disrespected. You would, if that happened to you more than once, develop a disgust for anyone who exhibited even the slightest inclination that they were going to turn out to be that way. And you would very likely begin to develop a purposeful selection process that looked for people who possess the opposite of those personality traits. So, number one reason that a lot of clients love hiring newer freelancers is because they haven't yet turned into divas. Number two, passion. I will admit a fault of my own to illustrate this point. I've been freelancing for 10 years. I've been exposed to some incredible things, and I'm very easily bored by most client projects these days. I wish it was different. I wish I could get excited about a client who wants to only add X amount of money or wants to run a simple funnel or, but I've just been doing it for so long. I've seen so many cool things, and that's not, I'm not trying to brag here. I literally just did this whole spiel on being arrogant, but it's just, I can't fake being excited about stuff I'm not excited about. And in the same way that some clients really don't like divas, some clients value passion, excitement, energy, and love of the mission as much, if not more, than the technical skill that you provide. See, clients are humans, and humans don't use logic to buy. They use emotion. And there is a literal, unlimited supply because new businesses are forming all the time, an unlimited supply of people who have started a business for something other than just the money. So consider that for a moment, that there is a literal horde of business owners out there who are doing this for something other than just making money. Their value system, the thing that they believe is the most important part of running their business, isn't necessarily the bottom line. What that means is this fear that you have of, well, I might not be the best copywriter. I might not be the best blog post writer. I might not be the best whatever, and therefore I can't talk to these people. What you're essentially saying is, I think what they value is how good I am, and so I can't talk to them. What I am suggesting to you is that for many business owners, not all, I'm not saying that if you're a beginner, you're going to beat every other freelancer. I'm saying that there are people out there who prefer you. So there are some business owners, some decision makers who, if you have the bare basic skill or even just an intense desire and interest to learn and develop that skill, will hire you because not your skills, but your passion and your energy and your commitment, or at least interest in the mission of that business. Now you may say, why would a smart business owner do that? And it's because the people who are really good at business understand that business, at the end of the day, is about people. And there are intangible skills, and there are intangible events, and there are intangible metrics, and there are intangible moments that require a supply of passion and interest in order to pull off. There are many businesses that are run simply on passion. That is the engine that drives the ship. And for someone like me, Mike Shreeve, the freelancer, let's say that I impress a client. The client loves my client list. The client loves my experience. They love my skills. But I personally, as a freelancer, just can't get excited about their mission, and they hire me. I will, in fact, be a damper on what could have been achieved had they hired someone with less experience and less technical skill, but someone who was very interested in their mission. Now, is that true 10 times out of 10? No. I'm not saying this is the case for every single client, but somebody who is running a business that's mission driven, if they hire someone who's really good but not committed to the mission, it's not going to work. Not nearly as well as if they hired somebody who's less skilled and more committed to the mission. So you, as a beginning freelancer who doesn't have 10 years of I've seen it already, right? I mean, like everyone always says, experience is this great thing. Sometimes experience makes things harder. Sometimes not knowing everything that could go wrong, right? Have you ever experienced that? If you don't know everything that could go wrong, you can sort of naively move forward, which gets the job done, where if you know everything that could go wrong, that could actually stop you from taking action. So don't overestimate the value of experience. Sometimes not having experience is the value add, especially if you can bring energy and excitement and passion. So that's the second reason why a client would hire someone new. Third reason a client would hire someone new, they, as a company, as a business, prefer to develop their talent. rather than hiring established talent. Let me give you an example. In the No Pants Project, I am trying to step back from the daily operations of the No Pants Project. The company itself is just meant to be an income stream, not my whole job. I love it. It's amazing, but I still do fiction. I want to do more fiction. And I still do freelancing. I'm probably never going to stop doing freelancing. So the No Pants Project's never meant to be this thing where like I'm doing it all the time. And so we're trying to build a team of freelancers to take over much of the stuff that I do. One of the things that I do is copywriting. I write all the sales letters, I write all the emails, I write all the stuff that you ever read. And recently we started outsourcing some of the social media, like just a few of the social media posts, not all of them. If it's written, I'm still doing it, et cetera, et cetera. But we're working with copywriters, running through a few of them, testing them out. About 3 or 4 months ago, I hired an established copywriter, somebody who's been copywriting for a very, very long time. And I paid this person a lot of money. And they are, to be frank, they're a little bit of a diva freelancer. Paid them a lot of money. They built a funnel for me. And I got the funnel. And it's a funnel that you've never seen. It was the landing page, and it was an offer for sale, and it was all this stuff, emails, the whole deal, Facebook ads. You've never seen that funnel because we never built it. Why didn't I build it? Because the copy that this person used was so overhyped, so scammy, make money online, so the opposite of what the No Pants Project is about, that I couldn't do anything with it unless I was going to rewrite the whole thing myself, which I just didn't want to do. Now you may say, well, Mike, why didn't you just have this freelancer do revisions? Well, number one, the revisions cost extra. And number two, I could tell that because this person was so experienced, that to get, and what they had turned in was so genuine to their experience. So all the clients they had worked with were those kinds of clients. And in that world, that was good copy for what they wanted to do. In my world, in the world where the FTC will shut you down, like some of this, this was like over-promising stuff that would never happen. That's an FTC violation, like, all that stuff, right? In my world, that just not even close, right? Like none of my personal clients that over the past 10 years. So I have a philosophy of what good copy should look like, and he has a philosophy of what good copy should look like. And if we were to try and work together in a long-term situation, it probably never would work out. Because I'd constantly being, hey, this isn't what we want. And he would say, well, this is what I know works, right? It's that typical situation. And so what we found in the No Pants Project, that because the way that we write our copy is a very specific way, and it's, we have a certain style and a certain philosophy and a certain mission for this business, we actually need to hire a copywriter who isn't set in their ways, which means we are currently working with copywriters that we can develop. And there are many creative and non-creative, but there are many freelancing specialties where it's an advantage if you are able and willing to be developed as a provider of services in someone's business, because they have a certain way they like to do it, because they have a certain ethic, a certain philosophy about how it should be done, and et cetera, and et cetera. Now, again, if you are like me and you have some experience, I'm not saying, again, that this is for every client. I'm saying there are some clients who prefer to develop their own talent rather than just straight hiring out. Now, let me give you the flip side to that, lest everybody who knows what they're doing is like, oh no, I'm screwed. Facebook ads, for example, I'm less interested in developing a Facebook ads person. Do I have my opinions? Sure. But when it comes down to the nitty gritty and what objective are we running and, I could care less. So the same client can have needs where they need to develop and then needs where they just want it, like, just give me the agency. I don't want to have input. Just get the job done and move on. Okay. So again, it just depends on what the client needs. All right. So that's number 3, is that some clients just prefer to develop their talent. Number 4, and this is really, really important, they hire new people because they just like you. Clients are human beings. Clients do not purchase based off logic. They purchase based off of emotion. And there are some clients who will hire you because they have a gut feeling about you. I know this sounds crazy. Y'all know me. I'm not into woo-woo like at all. But I was shocked when I got to the higher levels of freelancing, meaning I was working with some of the celebrities in certain niches, how much they ran their business based off of gut. See, I thought, like a lot of people who don't have business experience, I thought business was about how smart you could be, right? I thought it was about cleverness. I thought it was about logic. I thought it was about analytic behavior. I thought business was something that you could go to school for. I thought someone who has a PhD in business is better at business than somebody who doesn't have a college degree in business at all. What I have since found out and have, to be honest, even struggled with my own self of like learning is that business and intellect, business and having an analytical mind, business and logic are almost never connected at a high level. It's more things like street smarts, persistence, grit, your ability to create relationships, your ability to never quit. Those are the things that create bigger business success. In other words, it's what you would call soft skills, but they're not always soft, right? Like grit isn't a soft thing, but it's technically, quote unquote, a soft skill. And so newer freelancers who maybe are good at relationships, who are maybe good at persevering, showing up on time, hitting deadlines, like all those things that we think nobody would value that. What they value is technical skill. For most people who are actually successful in business, and that's whether they own the business or they're just a decision maker in business. You know how you've ever heard the saying of real, recognize real, right? So people who are successful at business recognize people who have the same skill sets that they have, or at least have the beginnings of those skill sets. And they recognize that this is going to be somebody who in our organization, in our team, in my business is going to be like me and have the same abilities in what are actually important in business. Real, recognize real. They will hire you because they like you. And they'll figure out the technical stuff later. Because here's the reality of life. Almost all technical skill can be learned. But there's a lot of stuff that you either are interested in developing yourself or you're not interested in developing yourself. Like grit. I can teach you how to be one of the best copywriters in the world. I could do that. I'm confident that I could teach you to do that. What I cannot teach you or force you to do is to develop a mentality that when you write that first sales letter for a client that bombs, that you get up the next day and write a second one. That's on you. That's something that you have to develop. And so when a client sees that you have that, people who have experience in business, the clients you want to work with, not the newbies, not the people who've barely just started out, because they have a lot to learn themselves, and it's not always a good thing to learn those together because it can be very stressful. But the clients that you want to land, the ones who are experienced, they get it. They get that business isn't always a straight line. And so they're looking for people on their ship, on their team, who have those intangibles. Those things of, when stuff goes wrong, are you going to just throw your hands up and quit? Or are you going to come back to me and say, here's my solution, here's what I'm going to do? And so you, as a newer freelancer, that's something that you have a level playing field with every other person who's out there trying to get clients. What you need to do when you're talking to clients is to emphasize that as part of your unique selling position. I've landed so many clients by just saying, I won't give up. I will fix it until it works. And they're like, that's all we can ask for. Oftentimes I get the exasperated, that's all we've been looking for. Like, you can tell they've just been frustrated because everyone's like, I write really good headlines. I write really good blog posts. Here's my technical skill. And they're sitting there and they're wondering, yeah, but if we give you money, are you going to help us? More than just delivering good words. So those are the 4 reasons why clients prefer to hire new hires. One is they like new hires because they've experienced the diva freelancers. Number 2 is passion matters in most businesses, and energy and interest and focus. Number 3, a lot of clients just prefer to develop talent because they have certain ways that they like to do things. Your openness to that could be an advantage. And then number 4, they'll hire you because they just like you. They're just going with their gut. And as long as you be you and not try to hide yourself, not try to suppress yourself because you think you need to fit some kind of mold, that could be the unfair advantage that you have over other freelancers who might be trying to get that same gig. So that's it, my dear friends. This has been the 4 reasons that clients prefer and like and enjoy hiring new freelancers. If you'd like a system for getting around all that stuff that I was talking about earlier, the tasks that lead to procrastination, if you'd like to find the most efficient, straightforward, and thorough and speedy and one of my favorite ways to get in front of clients so you can start to have these conversations, and if you'd like to be able to do that without having to spend, tons of money on ads, and you would even be interested in having some coaching, etc., I would recommend that you go to the nopantsproject.com. We have a free training. It's about 2 hours long, so there's quite a bit of stuff in there. It's a really high-value training. And at the end, we do invite you to join us inside of our coaching program. You just go to the nopantsproject.com to take a listen to that training. Also, we are all over the interwebs at the nopantsprojectblog.com. You can find us on the YouTubes. Of course, we have Facebook, Mike Shreeve Work Smarter Facebook page. We post all kinds of good stuff. You can find us on LinkedIn, just from my personal Mike Shreeve Jr. page. And then, of course, here on whatever podcast listening, iTunes, Spotify, wherever. We are all over the place because we are here to help and serve you. Hopefully this has been a helpful audio podcast for you, a good lesson for you today, and hopefully you enjoy it and you get out and actually execute on it. I will see you in the next one.